Welcome back
David tells
to
me
the second paradigm.
in the corner. Whoop.
Oh, well, we sound good. That's good. We don't sound
Like chipmunks or demon
like
monks.
chipmunks or demon monks. That's true. All right. Hello, hello.
Cool.
Who's here?
Hi, guys. Wow.
Very nice.
So
Thanks for
much
tuning in.
to talk about.
Just going to go talk on my watch. I
Hi,
have to keep my
Emil.
watch on because we have a hard stop at some point.
Well, we also have a time.
Hello, Emil.
The time is up there.
That's true. Actually, that's easier than looking at my watch.
David has office hours
Well, at 4.
at 4.
Mhm.
And it's 1.
Mm-hmm. It is,
But
however,
I don't
sold
think
out.
we'll go the whole time.
Yep.
Because you'll need a cigarette.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get off. Trump wins. 4 years of prosperity.
I know. Hi, Ben.
What's up, Ben? Howdy, howdy.
How'd the Jews do? Did they vote red? Because I did see, according
Okay.
to the polls in Brooklyn, that it was mostly blue. But then people were like, this is wrong because the Jews came hard for Trump, from what I heard. Word on the street.
Word choice, maybe, but yeah. I agree.
Why? What did I say?
The Jews came hard for Trump.
I mean, I don't think I'm wrong. You never know.
I'm sure the Jews came so hard, says Emil. Yeah, maybe.
That's awesome. I have so many things to talk about.
And I have a clip lined up, which is cool. Miriam hasn't seen it.
No, I haven't seen the clip.
That's related to at least my take on things. We'll see what your take is on things. We've been, I don't want to say we've been 100% predicting it because it felt like it could go multiple ways.
But we have been.
But I think this is the way that we thought ultimately darkness wanted to take things.
Hello. Yes.
Frankly.
Call us Nostradamus. Nostradamus. David does not like when I say things wrong.
No, I don't mind. It's funny.
Well, because then you're like, no, my love, you need to say it right. Because then you...
Some things. When it's so off that you can't even tell what you're talking about, then I'm like, well, maybe use the word how other people use it. But that's fine.
It's all good.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, I talked a lot about this on my Instagram stories. I actually uploaded a video to our YouTube channel. It's just me talking.
Yeah, I know. I saw. We got a comment.
In the dark. I know. It was a stupid fucking comment. I was like, I'm not your person. Like, what are you doing? Oh, what did they say?
No. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Let's keep
It
going.
was just stupid.
Roll in. We're at the top of the show, so let's
let's
get right into it.
Okay. Well, it's just so obvious. Like, it's so bananas to me that the Christian conservative, like, it's not bananas, because this is what we felt coming, right? Is that there's going to be 4 years of prosperity. Things are going to be all hunky-dory. The Christian conservatives are going to go right back to sleep. It's an ideology you can live within. Most people are going to live within it. I'm telling you that the train has stopped and it's like, all aboard, and most people will get on. Because it is too uncomfortable to stand there and say, no, you know what? I'm just going to wait here. When everyone is getting cut off the train. Like, all your woke friends got off 4 years ago and dyed their hair purple, chopped off their dicks, and are sucking each other's tits. And then you go 4 more years. And now we're to the point where it's like, oh my God, Christian ideology is at the forefront. Jordan Peterson is going to talk about religion. It's going to be Jordan Peterson, Russell Brand, all of these, Elon Musk. They're all going to be glorified. They already are. They've been setting the stage for the last 4 years. They're the alternative media source. They broke out of the system. Tucker Carlson. Like, it's all the same. And the relief that you're feeling, if you're feeling relief from Trump winning, is manufactured relief. And I think that is so important to understand. It's the same relief you felt when you were like, when the solution was to wear a mask, when the solution was to get vaccinated so you don't get sick. That same relief, also manufactured, wasn't real. It's the exact same script, and it's being played on the Christian conservative truthers. And they're going to wake up, and this wake up is also manufactured. This wake up is, people are waking up in the confines of darkness, not within God. They have no context for it. They have no understanding of it. They haven't dedicated their life to trusting their intuition exclusively, no matter what anyone says, no matter what the Bible says, no matter what the priest says, the pastor, whoever, the Hasidic Jew. It doesn't fucking matter. It's like, no, I'm going to trust this because this is my one-on-one real-time personal connection to God, and this supersedes everything else. I don't care how crazy I look. I'm still going to wait at the train station. And I may live my entire life without getting on any of these trains. And you know what? Good. Because at least I lived a life that was true to me and actually real, and I stood for something, and I had an opinion, and I had a worldview, and I had nuanced takes on things. People don't have that. People don't have a worldview. They're clamoring for just something to hold on to. And instead of like being with the discomfort of not knowing what the fuck is happening here, where are we? Does this place spin? I don't know. Does it move? Can we leave? Why is suddenly like Elon Musk and all these people are talking about space and the rocket and the rocket and the rocket, and he lands it and he wiggles it down, and everyone's talking about it. Not just Trump in his speech, but everyone is talking about Elon Musk landing these rockets. They didn't go anywhere. You can't leave the dome. Like, what the hell? And like, now the moon landing's real. Oh, no, I believe the moon landing. Yeah, we definitely went to the moon. You guys. And then we have fucking Bobby. And oh, he's all about health. And now all the healthy, crunchy moms, the conservative, healthy, Christian, crunchy moms are so excited because now, you know what? We have to fight against this red dye 40. We have to fight against the poison in our food. We just want real food. Then eat real food, bitch. Who cares? What are you chirping at? You're chirping at a broken system that doesn't do anything for you? Utter waste, purposeless. Darkness has given you a purpose, and that too is false.
Yeah, that purpose piece I've been thinking about a lot, because when I zoom out, I think this whole play is actually pretty genius.
I know. It's fantastic.
And I've been
not getting duped here, though.
I've been overlaying it with... There's a lot of talk about psychedelics, and I'm trying to track it. I'm trying to track what people are thinking about psychedelics, but not like the Joe Rogans of the world, not that archetype, or like, you know, even more like spiritual psychedelics, or like we're doing research and man, there's I forget what the organization's called, like Plan, or man, I forget what it's even called. Shoot. But it's psychedelic research, right? Whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Not
those places. But the like Jordan Petersons of the world, why are they talking about psychedelics? That to me is fascinating. And he has had 3 or 4 people on his podcast that have talked about psychedelics. He had Terrence McKenna's brother on, who still does research into psychedelics, or still talks about it.
Shills.
And I've been overlaying
shill, and here's my shill brother.
Okay. And I've been overlaying it with
so annoying, these people.
What's happening now, because the research into psychedelics, one of the main leading thoughts, I think it's wrong, but still one of the main leading thoughts is that what psychedelics do is it puts your body into a stress response. And in that stress response, the way that you map the brain, or the way that your brain maps the world, breaks down. So you have to then reopen your perceptions into considering something else. And that seems to be the reason why they think this is because it's a biological response to your circumstances. So they're saying when you're doing something and things are going wrong, your brain then goes, oh, I have to restructure the way I'm doing things. So it breaks down all of its processes that it's automated, and then starts to look at everything consciously. So it kind of reanalyzes all of your life, and you go through this kind of like little mini life review to figure out what's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's your biological response to stress. And they're saying that psychedelics seem to hack into the same pathway, and it gives you like a very intense stress response. I don't know if that's entirely right, but when I think it's close though. When I think about that from the perspective of what's happened since 2020, we've had this massive collective stress response. And that's actually this video that I'm going to play later or soon. I was watching this guy talk on Timcast, and they were like, hey, tell everyone your theory about Trump. It's mind-boggling, because it seems like we got brought through this massive stress response, and it's almost like Darkness asked, how do we facilitate the equivalent of a psychedelic experience to reset the brains of everyone simultaneously? Mm-hmm. And now we're coming through on the other side of that, where there's a restructuring. And it's like we're coming down from that psychedelic experience, or from that stress response. And now we're restructuring into something that's very different than it was before. Very different. And we would have never, ever gone from point A to point B being now. We would have never gone from where we were before that like normal life that we all, it's like a haze, like we can hardly remember it. We would have never gone from there to, oh yeah, Jordan Peterson's the Christian advocate, and yeah, Russell Brand's Christian, and everyone's Christian, everything's going to be great, and food and health. We would have never gone to this place. But because we went through this massive restructuring and this massive stress response, it's like we collectively went through a psychedelic experience, and now we're being restructured into something else. And the reason why I think it's genius that they went through Kamala Harris and not through Trump is because Kamala Harris seemed to like encapsulate the timeline of 4 more years of this kind of misery. And I don't know that people could have really taken it. Like it's essentially purposeless suffering.
Yeah.
And what that purposeless suffering does is it makes you search for purpose. But at some point they have to give you the purpose, or you might find God.
Yes.
Right? Or you might find real purpose. And if you find real purpose, then the whole thing that they set up was only to the benefit of God. That's not what they're trying to do.
Right.
They're trying to facilitate a collective psychedelic experience, not so everyone turns to God and finds their intuition and finds who they really are and flourishes into actual health and actual prosperity.
There's lanes for them.
Yes.
All these healthy moms are they want to work for Bobby. They'd like to suck his dick, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
They're crazy over this
Maps.
guy.
Thanks, Emil.
Minor attracted persons?
Psychedelics. Psychedelic studies.
That's maps too.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right?
Yes.
That's the same thing.
Yes. Speaking of minor attracted persons, I saw a little like picture. It was like of an article.
Yeah.
On what the fuck? No, I saw a picture on X, and I guess the guy who wrote the article defending John Podesta about Pizzagate and saying it was fake just got arrested for pedophilia. So I think Elon Musk tweeted it. I think that's where it happened.
And that's exposure. It's freedom of speech. See, guys, it's all coming out.
Yeah.
Everything's coming out.
And that's another piece of what makes this whole thing so incredible. Like almost awe-inspiring from what darkness has been able to architect.
Oh, yeah. They've been at this forever.
Yes. Is this like encapsulation of evil? Like, no, they're the bad guys. We're the good guys. We're trying to take you all into this place of prosperity and peace and happiness and health. Look at these other like really evil people. This very small few selected people who aren't really important at all to the global stage. Look at them. Look how evil they are. Let's push off of them.
Yep.
And it distracts you from not evil, but what darkness actually is.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And people aren't seeing it. And like, I've gotten DMs today that are like, I just rather feel relieved.
Yeah.
I'm like,
of course.
Of fucking course you would.
Of course.
Who wouldn't?
Of course.
Not me. Like, I can't. Like, there is something in me that is just, I am repulsed by the whole fucking thing. Like, yes, I can laugh with my mom and goof around with her, and I call her Little Miss Trumpet.
Sure.
With her little red hat on.
And I can even celebrate because, I mean, like, just from a quality of life perspective, our next 4 years of Trump are so much better than they would have been with Kamala. Truthfully. But when I zoom out into that spiritual landscape, I'm actually not so sure anymore, because I almost think that if darkness were to have messed up and thought that we were more psychologically resilient than we were, and people were to actually suffer more, that suffering would have then created the bedrock for realization, like a foundation for God, for actual God, where they go that nothing's working and everything is wrong. And from that place where you go, everything is wrong, you go, there has to be something else. Maybe I'll just try this thing that's inside of me that I've been shoving down since I was like 12 years old. Let's just go there. Yeah. And it's like this exacerbated final hope. In soul and truth and what we now call God, but that's not God to most people,
right?
But maybe it would have gone that way, you know. Like when I zoom out spiritually and I'm not just focused on, well, how's my bank account going to do over the next 4 years? How is the general prosperity and well-being and happiness of people going to be over the next 4 years? When I look at that very surface level, this is great, but when I zoom out into that spiritual landscape, I'm like, man, we're walking into something that's enslaving us to a degree that we might not get out of.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of feeling.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. This is like really well crafted enslavement.
Yeah.
Because everyone is celebrating the shit out of their enslavement.
Yeah.
They're celebrating the shit out of their new purpose, their newfound purpose of fighting for healthy foods. Meanwhile, you have all these bioengineered, genetically modified, genetically edited, CRISPR gene altered foods that are happening, but people are arguing over red dye 40. And it's like, it reminds me back in 2020, there was some sort of like court case, or I don't know, somebody wanted to, I don't really remember the details of it, but the truthers like wanted to they were like, we got to take this to the justice system. And it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Isn't the whole system the problem? Like, you can't expose corruption in the whole system and then say, well, we're going to fight it in court and we'll see.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, no, you won't see. Or like maybe you'll get a little win. It's the same thing that I talked about last year with the RSV vaccine and the moms that were begging for it in June. They were like, I really hope the CDC approves it. Da 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 da. It's like, of course they're going to approve it. Same thing happened here in our town that was flooded on 9/11. Everyone was like, oh, I hope we get MEMA relief or FEMA relief. And then we didn't. And then people were like, oh no, we need relief. There was so much damage done. We need relief. We need financial aid. Na 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 na. And then sure enough, Biden's like, we'll give some money to Massachusetts for the water damage. Mm-hmm. So we got like $3 billion or some ridiculous number. It's like we were always going to get that money. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't about the people fighting for the thing. Like, you fell for it.
Yeah.
You standing up for what's right is like, it's all crafted. And I don't know how you get people to see that.
Yeah. Okay, what's wild to me, I'm going to play this clip now.
Okay.
What's wild to me is that people do see it, but there's something about our framework, and this is what I want to put a finger on with you today.
It was fine
until I paused. Well, because I was thinking.
Okay.
What about our worldview lets us see narratives like this and to realize that it might be intentional? Like,
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was getting all feisty today on my Instagram stories because I'm like, people don't have a worldview. They don't have one, first of all. They want to clamor to one. They just want to grasp whatever one they possibly can. And then they piecemeal all this shit together.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense. And it contradicts itself every step of the way.
Yeah.
And then there's all these justifications within it.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
It's like, well, you know, I had to wear the mask in order to get into the grocery store. Like, oh, well, I had to vote for Trump because, you know, what if in the off chance your vote does count? Yeah. It's like, yeah, but you just told me you know it doesn't. And now you're saying that it does? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Where is your stance? Why can I just crumple you up and shove you around? Like, I shouldn't be able to do that. You need to be a person. You need to have a stance. You need to know what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't. And it drives me batty.
I know. And I think at the core of what we're doing, it's something like that. It's something like that. Because at the end of the day, I don't think we're trying to teach our worldview. Do you know what I mean? Like, to some degree, but more so, if I were to die and I were to look back and I'd be like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. It wouldn't be, oh, I'm so glad I was able to share the second paradigm worldview with people. It wouldn't be that.
No.
It would be, I would hope it would be, I'm so glad that we were able to share the framework from which to create your own worldview. Like I'm so glad we were able to help people to strive to actually have a worldview and strive to actually have an opinion and to use their intuition to forge something real. Mm-hmm. I see what we're doing so much more as like a context than substance. Yeah. You know, like it's like, just, you need to believe something, right? Mm-hmm. It's that statement. It's not, you need to believe what we believe. It's like, you need to believe something that's yours.
I can't say something and then you fold to what I say, but you also folded to what the other person said that was completely opposite of what I said.
Yes.
Like, what is that?
Yes.
I don't trust you. I don't like you. Get out of here. Like, I am not interested.
Yep.
Like, no.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, that's at the heart of the second paradigm. It's like recognize that your thoughts are being crafted for you. Recognize that not just your like day-to-day thoughts as you go. It's not that. It's so much deeper. Your core ideologies are crafted for you. Like, please recognize that the relief you're feeling right now was crafted for you.
Exactly.
This is a collective simulation that we've been walked through.
Yep.
And of course it outputs the emotions that it outputs, because look at what we just walked through.
Exactly.
Of course. So I want to play this because
Okay, play it.
Okay, yeah. Then we'll talk about it.
Okay. Am I gonna hate this?
I don't know.
Carl, why don't you give a quick outline about the story that I mentioned earlier? How you had talked about how Donald Trump had to come back and win.
Hold on.
Give our listeners.
Hold on.
How do we do it? Why can't we hear?
That's an issue. That's an issue. Yeah. If we can't hear it, that's an issue. That's an issue. That's an issue. That's an issue. Oh, actually, you know what I need to do?
What?
I need to go into it. Sorry, because you're going to watch
Carl,
the beginning of this clip.
Why don't you give a quick outline about the story that I mentioned earlier? How you had talked about how Donald Trump had to come back and win. Why don't give our listeners, our viewers, a quick outline of that?
Sure. Basically, the current American cycle has taken on the aspect of essentially kind of a movie trilogy, a sort of 3-act movie trilogy. So you get the initial success of the heroes in the first film. In the second film, you get the return of the empire, as in the Two Towers and...
See, there's a way for me to like monitor the audio.
Yeah.
I don't know where that setting is. Maybe Ben would know. Tech support. Hi, I'm looking for help with would we like to monitor the audio that's going through our stream? And as of right now, we do not have a good way to do that. So can you please help us? Can you please help? Help? Here we go. Monitor and output.
Okay.
There we go. I figured it out. I figured it out.
Like when Ron DeSantis was running. I love.
1 second.
Okay.
All right. Now we can hear it too.
Okay.
Give a quick outline about the story that I mentioned earlier. How you had talked about how Donald Trump had to come back and win. Why don't give our listeners, our viewers, a quick outline of that?
Sure. Basically, the current American
Timcast
cycle
last night
has taken on the aspect of essentially kind of a movie trilogy, a sort of 3-act movie trilogy. So you get the initial success of the heroes in the first film. In the second film, you get the return of the empire, as in the Two Towers in Lord of the Rings, or The Empire Strikes Back in the Star Wars trilogy. And then, of course, you get the final payoff in the third movie, where the heroes realize, no, this is what we have to do to win. The team comes together, and of course, darkness is vanquished forever, which means the Democrats. Hopefully, they'll be vanquished forever. These stories they resonate for a reason, right? There's a reason that all major film trilogies have this kind of 3-act structure to them, and you even see this reflected in the films themselves. This basic 3-act structure is because this is the general sort of pattern of how humans understand the world around them, is always built into narratives, and there's a moral payoff at the end of these narratives, and we're actually seeing that play out in real time in front of us, in real life, politically. So it was very clear to me a couple of years ago that it's, oh, no, wait a minute, you know, 'cause like when Ron DeSantis was running, I love Ron DeSantis, but it's like, no, bro, it's not your time. It's Trump's story. We're a part of it. We've all got a place, and you're not the guy yet. It could be you later, but it's not you now.
I think that was the first time I heard you mention it, was talking about Ron DeSantis, as like you were like, I like DeSantis, but not now. It has to be Trump. Trump has to come back. He has to come back and win to finish the story. So sorry for cutting.
Exactly. It has to be Trump to shove it in the faces of the Democrats. Those I'm not gonna, I don't know where you're streaming, so I'm not gonna give my opinion on what happened in 2020. But it has to be Trump to come back and destroy them. It has to be him, because he's the one that they particularly hate and screw over. No, it has to be him, and it has to be them learning a lesson from this. They're not going to learn any lesson, but it has to be him destroying them for it to be essentially the correct moral payoff to the tale. and we seem to be getting the good ending.
I sure hope so.
It's because we live in a simulation that we're in. It's a trilogy, and
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, Tim is so annoying. It's because we live in a simulation.
I know, but you try to reconcile that, right? And then what do you have?
That's all.
What do you have? Oh, well, it's a simulation. It's like this trap door that catches all of your questions about how reality could possibly be playing out this way. And for whatever reason, I listen to that and I go, yep, that's exactly what was architected.
Exactly.
And other people listen to that and they go, wow, that's so cool. Oh, that makes so much sense from crafting a political agenda that it would have to be Trump because it plays into the hero's journey. So it makes sense politically to then rally the Republican. Like it's like this political strategy at worst. But
well, it's
there's
basic human psychology.
Yeah.
It's very basic. It's
but
like
isn't that so fascinating? The like Return of the Sith or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like basic hero's journey.
Crafted.
Yeah.
Manufactured.
Yeah.
And like everyone's LARPing. Like it's the same as wearing the mask. Like everyone went out and voted yesterday and they thought they did something. It's like when you wore the mask, you felt like you were being a good person. You were doing the right thing. You were doing what everyone around you was doing. And you justified it to yourself because it was the way to get into the grocery store. It was the way to keep your job.
Yeah.
It was the way to keep the peace. It was the way, oh, you didn't really believe in the mask. Oh, you don't really believe in voting, but you did it anyway. Like, I'm telling you, most people are going to fall right back to sleep and they're going to get on the train and they're going to live the entirety of their life in this Christian ideology and this Christian conservative truther ideology. They will die there. They will never go beyond it. It's just the truth. And then maybe you'll think of me. You'll be like, you know what? That Miriam girl said I should trust myself. It's too hard. It's too hard. I could see it. What did Emil say? I could see it being written about that way in history books. Oh, 100%. I know. I had the same thought too. Yeah. And then everyone's in on it. So then when future generations ask, like, Grandma, Grandpa, what was it like? And then you tell the story, you tell the lore.
Yeah.
It's the same lore that's written in the book.
The trilogy of Donald Trump. Yeah.
I know. I was thinking today, I was like, the heroes right now are Dawn and Bob. That's crazy. And Elon. I don't know, just the names. Dawn, Bob. Come on. But it's too uncomfortable. It's too uncomfortable to be with the like depth of darkness that we're actually living within. And people don't want to talk about it. Like I know that. I get so many weird DMs from people that are like justifying themselves as if I'm calling them out individually. Like they're like, well, Miriam, I just really felt like, I'm like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm like, you do you.
Yeah, like.
But Liza, I did like your response. Liza sent woof. OOOOF. Yup. That's what she sent me.
That's like the most common response to everything we say. Oh, yeah, I could see that. Oh, fuck.
I know, and but like, it's not like life gets worse. Like that's the thing. I feel like people think that if I have this perspective that darkness runs every facet of society and that everyone else is
that we're what, miserable?
Yeah, I know.
It's actual purpose,
right?
And it's a grounded purpose. It's grounded into reality, and it functions. It's weird, right? Because you can kind of live inside of anything. And it's the idea that, like, we have 7 billion different worlds that we're all living inside of, each constructed by the figments of our imagination and belief. Yeah, right. We have 700,000. And you can live inside of basically anything. And I think we've all dabbled with manifestation and had at least a few months where we lived inside of a world where our mind created everything and where the things we wrote down on pieces of paper became our reality. I think we've all had those chapters of life. The problem is reality at some point proves you wrong. What I've appreciated about the second paradigm and our perspective since we've started to do it is reality hasn't proved us wrong yet. reality just continues to affirm exactly what we see. And as difficult as that is, there's no devastating blows.
Right.
And there's nothing that shakes you to your core where then you're taken out for 3 or 4 months, devastated, and have to restructure everything again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can restructure around reality, and it's difficult to get there. But once you're there, you're stable.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see from our perspective, there's an intelligent, benevolent God. That's this organizational structure, this kind of project manager, this source of wisdom, this source of guidance, this constant open door to the ideal. I could see from God's perspective, from that guiding wisdom's perspective, the utility of taking even a few years and going, just be devastated until you hit reality.
Yeah.
Because once you're there, you're solid for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like telling like a high school kid, just take a summer. Just take a summer. Don't worry about where you need to get in the next 4 years because you don't even know who you are. Take a summer, figure out who you are, and you're going to alter the trajectory of your life so fundamentally that it won't be wasted time. It'll be time saved.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that constant guidance very similarly of like, just take a summer. Be devastated for a bit, or not even necessarily devastated, although this is where we are, but just be uncertain for a bit and explore for a bit. And then once you figure out what reality actually is, you'll be stable enough. You'll set your trajectory. You'll be a person. You'll be closer to who you actually are.
Yep.
And it seems worth it.
I mean, there's a reason we have those MAGA hats. We went to the rallies.
Yeah.
We wore the hat.
Yeah. We were excited.
We went into the ideology deep.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was empty.
Yeah.
It was empty. No,
yeah.
People were a mess. There were kind people there.
Yep.
But people were a mess. We were in the truther pocket.
Yep.
They were worried about how they wanted to know how to save the kids. It's like, no.
Crying.
Bubbling. Bambling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know what you're trying to say. I can't find the word either. Bumbling.
Yes, just
a
mess. I want to save
blubbering.
I just want to save the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, lady, you got to work on yourself. Get yourself together first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, become a person.
Mm-hmm. And do something.
That's what's missing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on with the spiritual intuitive people. Like, I don't know, like, why they're not speaking out. Like, why
speaking out? Like,
why aren't they pulling through something similar? Like, why is our perspective like not? I don't see it out there at all.
I'll tell you my theory. My theory is that spiritual people in general have developed their psychic abilities to the point that they can get information. They have yet to develop their abilities to the point where they can differentiate the sources of that information. So all information is the universe. The information that you get first and most prominently, especially when you're doing drugs on a regular basis, and when you're in those kind of spiritual communities, around those kind of ideologies and spiritual centers, and around all of those old works, those esoteric teachings, the beings that you end up interfacing with all work for the same, what we would call the dark hierarchy. They're all a fairly organized intelligence, and they're all trying to take the world in the direction that we feel things going. And people on Earth, the people that we're looking for, like, who runs this thing? I don't think they're here.
No, they're out of body.
Right? They're out of body. Yeah. It's darkness, and it's a hierarchy and councils of beings. And when you read all of the old esoteric texts, you go read Madame Blavatsky's stuff and Rudolf Steiner, they're all talking about beings that work in councils. They're organized into councils. There's a hierarchy. There's this idea that they created everything, that God as a central good and intelligence isn't real. There is no good or evil. They created everything. That's the worldview of darkness. And that's the worldview of people who are working with spirituality at large. That trickles down then into spiritual community, and you get all the platitudes. You get people that are living into like, everything is love, and you just got to love and accept everyone. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same intelligence, and it's a sort of collective intelligence of beings, and their core philosophy is light, meaning that deep inner wisdom inside of you is questionable. at best. We need to create something better that we can be certain of. We need to manufacture a world that is better than what that inner wisdom is guiding us to. We don't like this evolutionary edge thing. We don't like this purpose externally, because how do we know that God is good? God might be bad. And if God is bad, we have to at least try to make something better. And if we can, then God is evil. And if we can't, then maybe God's okay. Or maybe we just haven't done it good enough yet. That's kind of where we are.
Yep.
Everything's organized around these beings. All of spirituality is organized around these beings. And you look into Madame Blavatsky, Theosophical Society, and their connections with the UN, and you start to recognize that lots of politics in the global stage is also organized around these beings. And then you look at all of the ideological movements that are happening and popping up, and they are all headed in the exact same direction ideologically. And then you have to question what figures, like, is Jordan Peterson actively working with these beings? I don't think so. Maybe. Is he working for people with or for people who work with these beings? Maybe, but I don't even know. It's like that intelligence, that collective dark hierarchy is so integrated with our collective psyche that you can just go try to do good and you end up working for them. You can just go try to do anything. You pick a lane, you pick a path that's given to you, and you're working for them. And it's really hard for me to parse out which people are consciously working for this hierarchy of beings that sees their end as better than God, and which people are just trying to do good. It's almost indistinguishable. The line is so blurry, and I can't tell where people are on it. Sometimes I question people more. Jordan Peterson, I question more than the average person. But there's still, even there, this ambiguity. Like, I can't quite pin it down. Like, who does he work for, or what does he work for? It's not even clear to me yet. I don't even entirely know what his ideology is, because he's not forthcoming with it. But I think that's why when you look out at the average spiritual person, they're not saying we have to create our own worldview and we need to stand firm in our intuitive knowing, which is our real-time personal connection to God, because that's not the intelligence they're working with on a daily basis. When they feel out into their spiritual experience, when they go do breath work and they blast out of their bodies, or they go do some ceremony and they blast out of their bodies, they suppress all of their biological sensations and then open up into that spiritual world, the beings that they interface with are this council. Maybe not the toppity top, but they're all working for the exact same thing. And these beings seem to respect that hierarchy unbelievably. Like, they are all preserving and working toward this good that is, it's crafted so meticulously, and so much work has gone into it. And it's so careful. And it's like the power of if you imagine AI on Earth today taken out into like let's say 1 million years of technological development. It's like that. It's like we have to protect this thing. Like, there's this reverence towards it that these beings seem to have. But there's also this understanding that we, from our own human perspectives, we probably wouldn't buy that. We don't even really believe that spiritual world's real for the most part. So they're finding ways to craft good for us that we walk into that align with our values. They're finding ways to nudge us and pull us along into this thing. And for people who reject them, they're trying to find ways to get us out of the way. At the very least, just stay out of the way then. You can live here in our world. And if you don't want to contribute to this, that's fine. Just stay out of the way, because this is happening. It's inevitable that this is where we're going. We're creating this world that is better than the world that the God within you would have you create. So if God's telling you to do something, you need to stay out of the way, because that's not what's happening here. God's not welcome here. That wisdom is not the central intelligence of what's being architected here. That wisdom that you have within you is the thing that we're trying to prove is evil. So you're working against us. And from our perspective, you're actually evil too, because you work for the evil dictator that is God. So you have to at least stay out of the way. And we're more than willing to manipulate you, whatever you need to feel to stay out of the way, that's fine. And there's lots of these little kind of communities and pockets of people who seem to be aspiring towards good and purpose and spirituality and New Age and all the variations of it. And even some of those Christian pockets, to a degree, they're all very convenient ideologies to darkness, meaning they're convenient in that you get out of the way. You either sit and you try to create things from your brain, which is like trained mental illness. It's not actually how reality works. So you're trying to do something that reality doesn't permit, endlessly, and blaming yourself. You're out of the way. If you do that for the rest of your life, you're going to blame yourself that you aren't creating the best possible good for yourself forever.
You'll never have done anything.
You'll never have done anything. Or you'll plug into their system and you'll convince yourself that you're not working for them. You're actually working for your dreams, right? That's even worse. Or there's this Christian pocket where you're just waiting for a savior and everything's evil because that's how God designed it to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And your
I hate
reward is
that
in the
one.
afterlife, and at one day a man will come down from the sky riding a unicorn, or he'll be 1,000 feet tall and everyone will see him, or there'll be multiple holograms of him everywhere and then everyone will see him simultaneously, or you'll at least hear the trumpet even though you can't see him because he's in New York and you're in California. It's at some point some event will happen and then everything will change. Either way, you're out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this is you know all of this, but this is, I think, why we look out and we go, why does nobody feel this? I think they do to some degree, but they can't acknowledge it because it doesn't fit into their ideology. It doesn't fit into the framework. It doesn't fit into their experience, the way that they feel, the way they see the world. And I think the most commonly, it's just too negative.
I know. That's the key.
And if you are negative, you create a negative life.
Right.
And that's oh my God, it's the ultimate, it's Stockholm Syndrome. It's the ultimate play from an abuser to go, have you ever thought about the fact that I might only be abusing you because you've done something wrong? It's like it's this twisted fucking psychopathic thing to tell someone. But that's what spirituality says. Have you ever thought about how all of your pain and suffering, and when you were raped when you were younger, and you know how you've been poor and you've been struggling with your relationships and your career can't get off the ground and the things that you want deepest to your heart just aren't working? Have you ever thought it's because you're thinking incorrectly? It's your own brain, it's your own deficiency. Have you ever thought about that? What if that was the secret to the universe, was that you were wrong and you can fix yourself? Isn't that empowering? That it's all your fault? Isn't that so empowering? Why don't you just go fix it? And they get all manic and they try to fix it and they can't, because that's not how reality works.
Right.
I think it's the most common place that people are spiritually with us. It's sad. It's sad. It's also ingenious, It's like, fuck, this place.
I know I feel the same thread of like what I felt during 2020 of like, oh, I'm just right. I know I'm fucking right. I will stand on it. Fuck everyone in my path. Like, I am right. This is on video. We'll play it back in 4 years. Like, fucking try me. Like, that's how I feel.
Trump's votes were rolling in last night and Miriam was like, I'm glad I posted that. So he posted on Instagram that he was going to win. We're going to 4 more years of prosperity. We've been talking about it, but it's not a stance that we've been like, let's put this out and document it. But Miriam wrote a post and it's at least out there. Proof that we've been talking about this for a while. This is where we thought things were going to go. It's not like, now that Trump has won and we're so surprised, here's where things are maybe going from a spiritual perspective. It's, no, we've been feeling this coming. This is it. This is...
Because it's the play.
It's the play. And it's partly because of that clip I played. It's partly because of that feeling that he's talking about. Not because it's a mythology and that's politically convenient. It's like that... There's an intelligence to the way that this thing has been crafted. And when I think about it from that trilogy perspective, the trilogy of Donald Trump, the fact that he won and it was this massive thing and then almost immediately hit trials and tribulations and with the whole pandemic, like that then going into the return of the empire, it's like, man, that's wow. Because it's like, no, he didn't even get a chance. He didn't even get a chance. It was so good. We were so close. Oh my God. There's like this longing, like you glimpsed the utopia that he was bringing, and then it was stripped away from him by the enemy. And everyone thought they were the enemy. And it was this, and the archetypal, I always say archetypal, but I think it's archetypal. Isn't that crazy? That's one of those things.
Okay.
The archetypal archetype. The archetypal archetype of with David when he tries to sound smart.
So much Jordan.
I know, my fucking brain's so just jumbled from all the fucking language translating. Just constantly fucking translating.
What is he? Oh,
but
sorry.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, nobody respects them. Nobody. And like the fact that they were the evil, that they were the archetype of evil that was presented, of like, no. It's not that it's like this cunning, evil force that's cares. It wasn't like a Gavin Newsom that came in and you're like, wow, he feels like a Bond villain. It wasn't like a good battle. It was like, no. This system is broken. and it is old and it is bumbling and it is inadequate. That was the message that was put forth. And he got taken down by the establishment that is old and confused, has no idea where they even are, has no idea what they're even doing, and is just going along as things always were. And then you get Trump, who's coherent and he's bold, and he comes back in and he takes the whole system back. And now we get to enter in that utopia that was promised, the place where they've been trying to take us for decades.
Well, because they need a vast majority of the population to go into this dark utopia. It's not, it wouldn't just work with a bunch of wokey dokies with no cocks and blue hair. Like that doesn't work. Like they need the entire spectrum from conservative to wokey doke. They need the whole thing.
Yep.
Why are you looking above my head? Is there a feed up there?
Probably. I didn't mean to.
You're looking at my eyes and then above my
sorry,
head.
I know that's intimidating. That's one of the body language things to do when you're like in negotiations is you stare at their forehead because it makes you uncomfortable. But I didn't mean to do. I didn't mean to do that. It's just where the next pocket of energy was.
This is so awkward.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Should I get taller?
Maybe that's what it is. Actually,
What?
is it makes you feel short. Yeah, that's funny. I've never thought that deeply about it. I used to be really into body language in high school. I'd
That
learn
was
all
one of
that
the
shit.
things?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's one of the things. Yeah, if you want to intimidate someone, you stare at their forehead. Yeah, it does kind of make you want to go, hey,
hey, I'm up here. Eyes up here.
yeah. Eyes down here, mister.
Down here.
That's funny.
But yeah, they want to usher in everyone. It's not this whole like
Exactly.
they're not trying to annihilate everyone. There's so many different like truther account people that I follow, like red pill, black pill, all the pills. This one girl was saying that they want to start a civil war and get both, but I'm like, no, not even that, because the Democrats are too docile. They're not. There's no civil. What are they going to stand there with? Like, what do they have? They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about personal protection. They don't have anything. So that would just be a mess. And who's actually going to do that? Like that's not going to happen. But that was like one of the memes she shared today, and I was just like, no, this isn't it either. Like they're ushering us into a utopia where we're numbed out even more than record scratch. We're already living inside of one of their versions of utopia. Let's just call this 2.0. Okay.
Can you move your foot off the thing? When you gesture, the whole thing shakes. Thank you. I hit it too, but start again.
Looking at your forehead.
Oh, yeah.
So I can negotiate this deal.
Down here, mister.
So they're trying to. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh well.
I'm deeply sorry.
Deeply sorry. They want to usher everyone into the utopia. It's not
with their free will.
Free will in quotes.
I think that's the ultimate goal, truthfully.
Well, yes, and it's a life full of conveniences. So we're already living in Utopia 2.0, let's say. Darkness is Utopia 2.0. So then let's go to Darkness Utopia 3.0.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just consists of more somas, like more numbing out, more conveniences. Things will be, you won't even have to drive your car. It'll be so nice. You can just get it. You don't even need to own one. You can just use your phone and it'll pull up to your house and it'll drive you there and you can sit and just chat with your friends. You don't, well, if you even have friends.
Yep.
And then it'll just drive you to wherever you want to go. Oh, and your groceries can just get delivered.
That was one of the metaphors in the doc. It was like what darkness wants.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like, you can imagine a world where the same kind of circumstances we're in right now, where you start to run out of money and you get scared and you're like, okay, 6 weeks out, I'm going to die. That's what it feels like. Biologically, I'm going to die. Everything's going to fall apart. You check into that deepest inner wisdom and God goes, yeah, you're good. Just sit tight for a bit. And you're like, what? Why? And it's like, well, there's either something coming, but it's not. It's just not a big deal. You don't need to worry about it. Like, one, you don't even really have a grasp on the money that's coming in.
Mm-hmm. And
two, there's also things changing in a way where that imagination of your future, your imaginary dystopia isn't actually real. Mm-hmm. And even if you were to get to a circumstance that looked exactly like that, it's not going to feel how you think it's going to feel. Right? So there's all of these kind of messages baked in, and there's some variance depending on what's happening. But you get in that circumstance and you essentially have the choice of, do I do nothing because God told me to do nothing? Or do I do something and ensure my safety and relieve myself of this imaginary dystopia? Right now, it's pretty hard. You got to go on Indeed. You got to go on Monster. You got to go on some job site and you start scrolling and you're like, this is fucking wrong. Everything in me is telling me that this is so wrong. There's not a single position I can feel any light in at all. I feel like the moment I even go to make my resume, my soul will leave my body and I will die. Like, it's like, fuck, this is it's so difficult. But you can fast forward into a future version of that dark utopia and you go on your phone and instead of Indeed,
it's your digital twin.
Sure, it's your digital twin and 50 jobs you can do in that moment to make the money. All available at a click of a button. Yep. You're already vetted because they know who you are, what you believe, all of your skill sets, the way you think, how intelligent you are. There's enough information, all of your capabilities, all of your past experience, every job you've ever worked, and all of the aptitudes you're likely to have and do have based on that past documented experience. They're matched with you and you can just go work for like 4 or 5 hours. Like you don't even need to take this long-term commitment that's going to mess up your future. And well, I don't know about my resume. It's not any of that. It's just, do you want it or not? It's right here at your fingertips. And you have notifications. You have pop-ups that are like, hey, if you do this and this and this and this, it'll ensure your safety for the next 6 months. If you take this job, you seem to prefer more time freedom versus overabundance or a higher quality of life. So you can have that time freedom and just do this job. It's very efficient. You'll make a lot of money based on just this and your skill sets and your aptitudes, and that'll take care of your bill that's coming in 4 weeks. The AI is doing what your brain is doing. In that world where your inner fear landscape is externalized, holy shit. Like, that's a whole different kind of darkness to contend with, because now God's saying, yeah, don't do anything. You're good. Everything's panning out. It's more important for you to do what's in front of you. It's more important for you to face all of your fears about money and about everything that's coming and to see what's imaginary and what's real. But when it's that easy, it's the same as like, I'm tired in the morning. I feel like I probably shouldn't drink coffee. Like, I'm feeling that I shouldn't drink coffee, but I'm so tired. I'm just going to go drink coffee. It's like that. It's that quick of a solution. It's like you can fix your tiredness with coffee. You can fix your monetary fears with 45 seconds on the app and a few hours of work. You just go drive and you do the job and you come back. When it's that simple to deviate from God, what are we going to do? Because it's only going to be more difficult.
Yep. I know. That's why I don't want to.
Hey, we're not talking about a movie. We're talking about a future that we'll probably live in.
What's the name of the movie?
Life. It's called Planet Earth.
It's called Life in the Dome. Maximo.
That's funny.
What's the name of it? That's awesome. Hi, Dan. Dan. Yeah. That's why I don't. I can't let myself go to that place of relief because it's like, no. I'm still in like this boot camp with God. Like, I'm still, I'm committed to the grind right now. Yeah. Like, truthfully, like, I'm committed to the hardship. I'm committed to the struggle. I'm committed to this actually being a real-time personal connection to God, to divinity, that this is right, that this is true, that this is real, that this is the voice of God, that I've bet my entire life on it. I'm still all in on that. To feel any sorts of relief that I already know is manufactured relief, just why? I feel like I'm like lying to myself. I'm gaslighting myself. I'm duping myself. I'm pretending. Like, what's the point? I'd rather be in the grit of it because I know that is what is ultimately coming. And it's going to be even harder to trust your real-time personal connection because it'll be so much more. It's already easy to not trust it. We already live in a world where it's a breeze. You're better off by the worldly metrics to not trust your intuitive knowing, and you're more rewarded, and you go further and you advance further in your career and you make more money and you have more things and all the accolades.
And we could have described our current reality with like deviating, like selling our soul for a job. We could have described this exact circumstance where you go on Indeed or Monster and it's so hard. We could have described that to 2 generations back and they would have been like, holy shit. Like if we lived in the 1950s,
Like saying, "Oh, you
getting
don't
a
have to
job
go
would have
in.
been so hard.
You
It
don't
would have
have
been
to-
so much more like you would have had to physically go out and go
Mhm.
talk to people and go
Mhm.
and get, and then like then it'd be like, well, you could imagine a
What's the
world
example?
where it would be so much easier to sell your soul for cash. It'd be so much easier where you just go online and you see every job in the area that's available,
Mhm.
right? You could describe the same
Yeah.
thing. Like it's only getting, but by the time we're there, we'll be able to describe another one.
Yeah.
How it's only going deeper and it's only
Yeah.
getting even easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you willing to live this life with intuitive access, not validated by anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Will you still do it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it feels like now is the time to make that decision, either yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's no, then fine. Then like, bye. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I have nothing for you.
Yeah.
Like you're on the train. I'm waving. Like you're gone,
Mm-hmm.
and I will never see you again. That train isn't circling back unless something like extremely devastating happens to you and you start questioning reality again. But for the most part, they're gonna build out a whole psychological map for you to live within. Jordan Peterson is gonna do it. I'm telling you, he is the head
Yeah.
honcho for this shit.
Yep.
He is gonna craft.
I'm going to take credit for that one.
Yeah.
For that call.
For what?
I'm going to take credit for that call. Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah, take it.
I thought it first, but you say
Oh.
it more.
I say it all the time because it's true. Why would I not say it? It's true.
Yeah.
It's very
I know.
obvious when you listen to him and you listen to his podcast.
I know.
You did call it out. You should take credit.
Thanks. Thanks.
Why? What you should be? Why? What are you doing?
What?
Why are you getting small about it?
I'm not getting
Thanks.
small. I'm down here. Hey, I'm down here, mister.
No, take credit for it.
No, just keep going. Keep going.
Well, no, it's good because it's true.
Yes, I know. I know.
But you need to own it.
You're right. You're right.
How can I own it? It's not my fucking idea. You own it. It's
I know.
yours.
I know. Well, I'm still honestly parsing it. I watch an embarrassing amount of Jordan Peterson
Well,
right
and
now.
you give him far too much credit, thinking that he might be good. Like immediately, it's very obvious.
What do you mean might be good? That I don't
or
think
like
he might be
doing
good.
Like, or he thinks he's doing good. Like, I think he is definitely jacked into something fucking dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he knows. And I don't even know that he's the real dude, the OG JP. I even question that because
I
it's
know,
like, what
I know. I do
happened to
too.
him when he was sick?
I do too. I know something happened.
And like, why is he being so bolstered up right now?
I know.
Him and Ben Shapiro are making the
That's-
podcast rounds. Like, and I know it's because his book's coming out. Well,
That's where I reconcile
there's
it though.
more to it.
Is why is he being bolstered right now? I reconcile it that in that I think we all play some degree of characters. I think us intuitive people that have been doing this for a while, less so, right? And that's what we're trying to unwind is these archetypal prisons that we are so tempted to plug into, to jack into. Like, oh, I could just be the cool, charismatic guy. Or for me, like, oh, I can be like kind of outlandish and showy, but an intellectual. I think that's the closest, like it's Jonathan Light, you know, that fucking skit I did a while ago where it's so ridiculous. Flashy. And honestly, me shaving my head was like a big thing, especially in Seattle, because it was like me resigning from that archetype. Because I've always been like a little like metrosexual, like through high school, like that was the character I started to develop as I went into adulthood. It was like, I'm going to be flashier than you. And I'm going to own it. And I'm going to be so confident in it that I almost feel like a celebrity even when you don't know me. That's what I started to take on. And I used to wear a blazer everywhere that was rolled up and tucked into my arm. It was like, who the fuck is it? Why would you tuck a blazer? Like, why are you rolling up a blazer like you don't give a fuck? It's like, I'm flashier than you and I don't give a fuck. But I'm also fucking smarter and better at you than everything. That was like the thing that I started to take on.
Makes sense.
We have these, like, I think we have all these archetypes that we can plug into. And we plug into things that is a really close match to our biology and as close to ourselves as we can muster, selling as little of our soul as we possibly can. When one of those archetypes as a person matches what this larger dark hierarchy is looking for, I believe that's when they're bolstered. But it's hard for me to tell how much of that is conscious on their part and how much of it just feels to them like the world is embracing them and their ideas. That's where I get confused. It's not like, do I think Jordan Peterson's actually a good guy and working for God? That's not even remotely close. I think without a shadow of a doubt, everything he is doing is honestly leading the charge of what darkness wants on earth, leading the
100%.
charge ideologically in the West.
Mhm.
He is the beacon of
Yep.
what darkness wants Christianity and science and psychology to become.
Yes.
But is he aware of the depths of the decision that he's making at the core of that? I don't know. And it's not like I don't know if he's a good person underneath. It's like, I don't know if that information is available to most people. I don't know if that information is available to celebrities or people that are playing these roles, because I could see a world in which darkness is pulling the strings by bolstering people into the system that they've architected, and their motivation to continue is the praise that they're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's a
I'm
big
being
piece of
accepted. I was a professor who was right on the fringes because nobody was accepting my political viewpoint in academia.
Mm-hmm.
Now I take myself out into YouTube and I blow up. People want this.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to become what people want, right? Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to lead this charge. And now I have the power to be able to say the things I've always wanted to say. It's hard for me to tell whether it's that or whether it's some version of that into like, hey, Jordan, here's what we're trying to do here. At some point, there's a conversation like that between someone who's interfacing with these beings. Like, hey, Jordan, here's what we're trying to do, and here's what's playing out on the global stage, and here's the utopia we're trying to build, and we're trying to make this thing here. And there is some acknowledgement of God in that. I don't know if there's some acknowledgement of God as that deep inner wisdom inside of Jordan Peterson's psychology. I have no idea. That's what's hard for me to pinpoint.
Well, yeah, and he doesn't disclose it. And the fact that he gets triggered by when you ask him if he believes in God, that's weird. That's a weird thing.
Yes,
the guy
because he
that talks-
doesn't. He doesn't, but he acts as if he does. That's his stance. Jordan Peterson doesn't believe in an external God. That is what Christians believe. He doesn't believe in that at all. He doesn't believe in a being at all. It's very clear the more I get into it. But he does believe in all of the principles, and he believes that all of those principles have been culturally evolved over a long period of time, and that all of civilization's wisdom was compiled through verbal storytelling that was eventually put into the Bible, and it built the foundation of our whole civilization. And if we go back and we look at the evolution of our consciousness and the wisdom on which we stand, then we are able to extract out the principles that we're losing today. And we need to be able to return to some of those core principles in order to preserve society, or else we will devolve into communism and socialism and all of the atrocities of the 20th century. That's his standpoint. And people ask him, do you believe in God? And he's like, well, it depends on what you mean, because I believe that there is a logos, a central wisdom that's more important than anything, that was evolved through time culturally. And that if we lose that, we lose everything. And I think that is God. That's his standpoint. It's like there's a psychological fabric, almost like Carl Jung, like a collective consciousness that we've all built in wisdom into. And when we deny the wisdom of our ancestors and of our civilization and of everything that's already working, we devolve into chaos. And we don't realize how much society has built. We don't realize the things we actually stand on. And it feels as though we can start from scratch, but we can't. And if we lose the Bible, we lose everything we've built as our ideological foundation that the West has thrived upon. That's something like his viewpoint. It's interesting. But when I zoom out and I look at it, he's trying to architect a new codified good, and that is darkness. You know what I mean? And that's where I get confused, because I see where he's coming from. And if I didn't believe in God, I'd probably believe him.
Right.
Almost identically believe him.
Yes.
That would be my worldview if I didn't have all of these phenomenological experiences. If I could just write out my
How
psychic.
does he make sense of that?
Of what? Psychic experiences?
Yeah, or like knowings, or...
So him and I mentioned him earlier, the guy's brother, Terrence McKenna's brother. We're talking about the beings that people come into contact with when they're on psychedelics. What are they? And are they real? And their stance is like, well, it's hard to say, like, what is real? What's your definition of real? They go to that place. This is very philosophical. It depends on what your definition of real is, because they seem to be as real as the characters that are in your dreams.
Reminds me of the Weinstein brothers.
And why do people have the experience of them being real? And what they'll say is the beings that they come into contact with when they're in psychedelics are realer than reality itself. That seems to be something even realer that they're feeling into. Why is that their experience? So they're coming from that perspective. How do they rationalize it? They don't. They don't know. They have no idea. But they see that there's some value there. So then they go to, well, even if we can't figure out what these beings are, do the things that people or that these beings tell people in those states actually constitute real wisdom? Is there actually something there? And then we can maybe ask if there's something deeper happening than just this weird DMT experience, this dreamlike state that doesn't actually mean anything. Because Carl Jung, and there's this whole fabric of this sort of like supernatural psychology of Carl Jung that everything slots into. So they're like, well, it's probably tapping into some sort of collective consciousness or some sort of higher thing. And maybe there is something, but they're not thinking, oh, maybe these beings are actually real. They're thinking, what do these beings represent and why are people having experiences of them and what constitutes real in the first place? That's where they go. And it's so abstracted that it's so hard to like get your brain fully around that. I listen and I'm like, yeah, but what do they actually think? It's very hard to tell. Very hard to tell. Hey, Danny. Other Danny.
Oh, hey, Danny. Other Danny. My two beef livers, Danny and Danny.
Yeah. Lots of people have popped in and out.
I know. They're probably like,
yeah. You're not celebrating? I'm out of here. Why aren't you celebrating more? Why did Miriam take off the Trump hat?
Where's your MAGA hat? Yeah.
Okay, so here's I think another thing, and then we can probably start to wrap up. What do you think slumber means? Like so we're going back to sleep. I think we've already said, right, that 4 more years of prosperity. It seems like we're headed in a good direction from a quality of life perspective.
A new direction.
Trump winning is like it's like that guy on Tim Class, that clip we played earlier. It's like the third series of the trilogy where the hero wins. So now we're about to live inside of the era where the hero just won. But we're saying that that's going to put people to sleep, and they're going to become more comfortable with the things that have caused them suffering, and they're going to lose access to that search for purpose. Why? Like, what else do you think's happening? Can we tease things apart in the slumber?
Oh wow. I thought you were going to the audience. You're asking me?
I'm asking you. But I mean, if you guys have thoughts too, I always would love to hear them.
What do you mean?
Like, what do you think that slumber is going to look like? Like, what do you think we're...
Oh, it's happened immediately. Celebration. That's slumber. Like, all these Instagram moms, I was sharing their stories and honk shoe. Like, after. Like, it's like, oh, it's done. Like, they're like, oh, this is me and all my healthy mom friends. And it's like, it's videos and reels of, like, Trump dancing. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the slumber is... It's already, we're in it. We're in the slumber.
Yeah. Like, what do you think life returns to? You know, like, what do you think life becomes for these people? So they win. So like politics kind of starts to fade into the background. Yeah.
So they're like more excited. They're more excited to spend again. Things feel more exciting. I said excited a million times. The stock market, is blowing up, and people will probably be able to buy houses or buy land that they haven't been able to buy or that they've been waiting on. Grocery prices will probably start to go down. Gas prices will start to go down. But all the increases were also manufactured. FYI. The suffering was manufactured just as much as the celebration. I wish people got that. But I think that creates a slumber. It creates a sort of ease. Yeah. People will be fighting for the health and wellness of future generations, and there'll be a lot of anti-vax narratives, but that's okay because they'll just be vaccinating us through our lettuce and our food anyway. So but we won't talk about that. But maybe they'll reduce the schedule, the 72 shots. It'll be, they'll be, and they'll just be like so much relief.
Just series of wins. Yeah.
Yes. So many. And like the conspiracy theorists were right. It's like,
and like a redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't think this godless utopia is actually going to be that bad to live within.
No.
I think it'll actually be pretty cushy and nice.
Yeah. Quality of life is going up.
Right.
Certainly.
Right. But how much of your one-on-one personal connection are you going to give up?
Yep.
For those conveniences?
Yeah. God, I am so fucking thankful
Look, 47
that
views.
this work
Our
happened.
47th president. My 47th tattoo.
I'm so thankful that this work happened
Oh, same.
for us in this exact fucking moment.
Oh, yes.
Because this was the hardest period of collective time in our lifetime. It may be the hardest collective time in our whole lifetime. It's hard to tell. Probably not. But this seems like the perfect fucking window to get clear on who you are,
Yep.
what you actually give a fuck about, to get clear on darkness,
Yep.
to start to see clearly. Like, I can't imagine a better sequencing of events than this
Mm-hmm.
for our own transformation as intuitive people.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
I can't.
I know,
It's
this played out
so
perfect.
perfect.
Even to live in like a blue state and like you see so many Harris signs everywhere, like
Yeah.
it's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like my plan would not be to live here. But all the
Mhm,
guidance we
mhm.
got was to like, oh no,
Yep.
leave Texas and go to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And the gun laws are worse there, but go there.
Yep.
You'll enjoy it,
Yeah.
God said.
Oh, you guys
No,
were
God
thinking
did
about an
not say
AR-15? Oh no,
No,
you
no.
won't be able to get those for years.
No. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here you can get a AR style weapon if the magazine is firmly attached. It's welded in. So you have to load it from the top. So it's basically you get 10 rounds ever. Then you have to
Well, 'cause
finger
10
load
rounds
in
Massachusetts.
more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 rounds in Massachusetts. There's a magazine capacity. So it's 10, not 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't take the magazine out and have an extra magazine. You have to finger load them back in from the top. That's the only way you can have an AR.
And we think we're free.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I think there'll be a lot of it's just this feeling of relief. And for some reason today, I mean, it's beautiful out. It's like 70 something degrees, which makes no sense in November in New England. It's
Yeah.
like abnormally warm. And I was like, you know what? I bet
I was giving you a background track. I thought you were going to keep playing.
no, because I don't like it.
Oh, okay. DJ David playing the worst tune since '93.
No, I just
Jazz,
Whistlers.
jazz,
Whistlers.
jazz.
like whistling. But
Whistlers like whistling themselves. Nobody ever has in the history of humanity has liked listening to whistlers. It's okay. I understand.
I didn't say that, but I agree with the statement. I don't even know. I don't even know what I was saying. It's okay.
It's beautiful. It's 73.
Oh, I just imagine it's this way all over the country. I feel like they like de-chemtrailed the skies today. Like just to
It's
get
just meant to be glorious.
yes.
Yeah.
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 It's like but it's I can feel how fake it is.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when
Hmm.
we came back from Tulum and my bank account went negative and I panicked. And then I looked up and I saw the mountains in Boulder, Colorado, and I was like, wait, nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the panic that I just felt was all from my screen. Like it's not Molly Cat.
Mm-hmm.
It was all from my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't real. My physical reality hadn't changed one bit. It was all psychological, all mental. What it means to have a negative bank account. What am I going to do? How am I going to make it? What's going to happen to me? I'm a bad person. The bad people let their bank accounts go negative. Why aren't you more responsible?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. This is just on the like good side of it. So it's like more acceptable because you can be excited because this is great times ahead. And there
Mhm.
will be great times. But no different than all these other times. Like, haven't you had great times in your life? Like
Mhm.
your life, if your life's been miserable for the last 4 years because of Biden, that doesn't even
Mhm.
make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even understand it. And what I was also saying today on my Instagram stories is I don't want relief. I don't want manufactured relief. I want relief only God can give me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that relief doesn't come for days, weeks, months, years. But like, am I still going to stay steady on this path? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is always yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing we're ultimately looking for is our soul's actual fullest expression. Like doing the thing that we feel as though deeply on a core level we were put here for,
Like whistling.
like whistling.
Sorry. Did I take that from you?
No. Not like whistling. Like this. Like us talking about these things and formulating this ideology and differentiating out all of the bullshit that is darkness from the tiny little sliver of light that we have left on this planet.
Yeah.
Like that.
I actually had a question from someone, and I didn't answer her because I told her to check in with
Mm-hmm.
herself.
Such a Miriam reply. I got a question today, and I told her, ask God, not me.
I said, ask, check in, you'll get answers.
Uh-huh.
She sent me a block later. She obviously got some fucking answers.
Yeah.
But this is what she said.
Okay.
And I think this is relatable.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
All I can do is keep questioning why I exist here if all we can expect is this darkness utopia. What the fuck is the point? And then I said, ask. Check in. And then later, I mean, do you want me to keep going?
Summarize, maybe.
I can't. I'm not a summarizer. That's your thing.
That's okay. Well then no. Let's just start there.
Okay.
So what do you got?
So
Just read it again. Sorry.
All I can do is keep questioning why I exist here if all we can expect is this dark utopia.
Yeah.
What the fuck's the point?
Yeah, that's the question that you have to get through if you're going to actually believe what you believe,
Exactly.
right? Like that is the fucking question to ask.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So good.
That's why I can't answer that for her.
Yeah.
She's got to
yeah, like all of life is conspiring to get you to answer that question, because if you don't have that question answered, you don't want to be here. Right? Like, and if you don't want to,
I almost said like, don't off yourself, but if you do, let me know before you go. But then I was like, I don't know.
It's not quite it.
I don't know what kind of stage she's in.
It's not quite
the
it.
jokes will hit. But I did say that, and I erased it. And then,
Yeah.
My bubble went away.
The purpose is, it's so subtle, right? You have to go down into the depths, and you have to find actual answers. And part of it, that was actually a fantastic answer to that. Of like, you got to check in. You got to find your own answer. This is between you and God, not between you and me.
Right.
I am not your guru.
Then what I said is
Miriam Robbins.
Miriam Robbins. What I did say in my stories later is like, I can fucking gas you up all day.
Yes.
But like, that does nothing. Like, you have to believe it. You have to check in and know that what you got is true and real, and that
to
you can,
you.
Yes.
Yep.
And that you can stand in it.
Yeah. We did like a channeled event in our Members Plus community yesterday, and B's whole thing, he was like, okay, well, let's deconstruct the entire second paradigm. Like, let's take the second paradigm away from you. What do you have left? And what you have left is your experience of God. It's pretty actually fucking big.
Yeah.
And near the end, when B was finally bringing it home, it was 2 hours instead of an hour and a half, which is rare. B was like, this is the thing we're trying to point to. We're trying to point to your actual experience. And the words that we say and the ideology we're building, we're not teaching you anything. We're describing what the experience you're already having. And if we're not doing that, we're doing it wrong.
Yep.
And if you think that you can strive in the ideology for something that we're telling you about, that's not what it's about. It's about we're trying to describe something that's already happening to you in your relationship to God.
Yep.
So what's the purpose of living if all we're going into is a dark utopia? It's subtle, because dark utopia is not evil utopia. That's the important thing to know. We're already inside of a dark utopia, right?
I feel like that needs to be stressed even more.
Yes,
like
when we
us
say yes,
ordering our groceries online or having some little minion at the store shop for our groceries, like I do for my mom every week. I make her order her groceries online, and I go and pick them up because I don't want to grocery shop. That to me feels like dark utopia.
Yeah, just like us spending the first 18 years of our life training to pick a lane.
Yeah.
And to integrate into a society that has nothing to do with our soul expression. Nothing.
I know.
Like this, like where do we think we are, right? And it's not that we need education reform. It's not the fucking point. It's not it. It is a deep core ideological difference. Like it is that paradigm of darkness that you doing what your soul is calling you to is not enough, or it doesn't fit here. It's not welcome here. But it's not evil. It's not evil. And times will be good. Like our quality of life will be good, because what darkness is great at doing is optimizing for biology. Like when we say the dark utopia, we don't mean like upside down crosses with bloody people hanging from them constantly, and total chaos and destruction, and we're all in FEMA camps and everything's. That's not it. That's not it. It's everything is unbelievably convenient. We're completely taken care of, and we never look to God for anything because we have no suffering anymore. It's more like that.
Right.
Everything is optimized, and we organize around the intelligence of a central AI authority that outputs things that are better than we can think of ourselves, and that when we read them, we can't even argue with them because it's so compelling.
And it resonates too.
Mm-hmm.
It resonates on a deep level because it is your digital twin that knows you inside and out.
Yeah, understands your psychology. You know what I learned yesterday? Jordan Peterson was talking on Timcast. He said he plugged his books into an AI and trained it based on his books, then output ideological questions he had with his new book, The Wrestling with God. He had AI help him to sort out the ideology.
Interesting.
He was like, I'd be grappling with something. I can't do his voice yet. I'll try to get it eventually. I'd be grappling with something, say. And he wouldn't be able to figure it out, so he would ask the AI, and it would give him a framework, and he was like, it's actually pretty good. And he said that it was good because the AI knew all of his like presuppositions and knew how he thought, and it knew things about the way he thought that he didn't know about the way he thought. He said it was actually kind of an eerie experience, but then he would go through and he would actually write about it, and he would go further. But it was he started with AI, but it'll be kind of like that, right? Where like, it's not that you are taking on the identity of your AI. It's that the AI system that's trained to you, your digital twin, is outputting things that you should be doing based on all of the current system of society and your place within it. And it outputs something that is logically compelling and good, that actually drives you toward a higher quality of life. But the question is never, how do I make my quality of life better? That's not what we're here to do. And the question isn't, how do I rise within the social status hierarchy? The question is, who am I and why am I here? There's something so much more deep. There's our relationship with God, and it goes all the way down to the core of our ideology. And when you go down to those depths, there's you, and there's this infinite wisdom that is God and light and goodness. And when you identify that and differentiate it out, you can tell that it's the only thing that's truly good. And it's the thing that you've felt to be good your entire life. At the core of everything you've ever loved and cherished and gone after, there was this thread of goodness that kind of weaved you through it, and you misunderstood it every step of the way, and you piled on a bunch of other shit every step of the way. Of like, well, yeah, I can feel this is good, but I also need to make more money, and sometimes you misstep and you step away from it. But through every single thing, there's this thread of goodness deep within you that compels you to keep going, and it is your sense of purpose. Because purpose in the experience seems to be something like, you are living in alignment with what God wants you to be doing. Like, you're living in alignment with who you actually are. Like, God is guiding you as a soul to the fullest expression of your soul, which isn't like the arts or creativity. It's not just that. It's like the role your soul actually has to play inside of society. And the reason why you're here and what you're here to ultimately do, because we as souls are ultimately here to change the fabric of Earth, to make it better. That's why God sends in the next generation, is to make it better in the direction that God sees as better for everyone and everything, including you. So when we're entering this kind of dark utopia, it's a battle of two goods. And it's hard to be too depressed about that, truthfully, because it's not that life's getting worse. Life's going to get better either way. Because we're already living inside of a dark utopia, but the dark utopia is going to get more optimized, and our quality of life is going to go up. We're going to eat healthier foods. Our biology is going to be better. We're going to feel more vibrant. We're going to have more money, have more wealth. Our quality of life is obviously going up for everybody, because that's a part of the dark utopia. That's a part of what they want. They don't want to kill everyone. They don't want lower quality of life. That would prove that God's better. They want to make the best possible thing ever. Our job at some point will be to choose between two goods. It'll be the good of society, and it'll be the good of God that we have access to internally. But if we can't sort that out now, it's going to become too compelling later. So the reason to be here and to go fucking hard on intuition now is so that we have the option later to choose the good of God. because at some point we won't even feel like we have the option.
Right.
And at some point, most people won't have the option. Darkness will become too compelling in their goodness.
It's, yeah, I mean, I even already see it with like CBDC and universal basic income. And like when I say we're going further into this than we want to admit, that's it.
Yeah, and I don't see any of like the digital currencies and all. I don't see that as dystopian as the truthers see it. I think things are going to get better. Like truthfully better. And maybe the surveillance will be more obvious and we'll opt in more consciously with more of our free will. But I already believe that every single thing we do everywhere is documented and is fed to a central AI. I already do. I kind of believe that every single aspect of our existence, every decision we make for a long time,
at least a decade.
The idea that we're not being surveilled now is stupid because we're never more than 6 feet away from our phone. Like it's a dumb idea that we're not already living inside of it. So it's like maybe those things will be more disclosed, but they'll be, when they are disclosed, it'll be so that they can reap the benefits from it. Like, it's not that they're going to disclose that we've been trapped this whole, they're going to disclose that this technology exists that's going to make our life better, and it will. Like, that's what's so tricky about this, about where we're going, is life will get better and better and better and better in darkness. Selling your soul will become a better deal every day because that's their biggest wish.
I always think of Dubai as like an experiment.
Yep.
I always...
The line?
Not just, no,
generally?
Dubai itself. Like the man-made city, the tall buildings, the luxury, the fast cars. Like, I watched some video, some YouTuber, I don't know who it was. Was it Mr. Beast? Yeah, it was. It was Mr. Beast. He like tried to give away like a Land Rover, or Lamborghini, or whatever. I know those are very different cars. But and then the guy was like, "Oh no, give it to someone else."
In Dubai?
Yeah, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "Who passes this up?" But it's like, because they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Like they all have vanity plates. Like
Yep.
The
wealth. There's unbelievable wealth.
The wealth and the riches, and it seems like that works.
Yeah.
That works to keep people at bay. That works to keep people working in a job that they don't particularly like, but then they have a beautiful house and they have all these things and they have fun and they drink on the week. Well, they don't really drink. I don't think you drink in Dubai, but you secretly drink in Dubai.
I heard someone say that Dubai was interesting because it was essentially like almost like a tribal, like archaic region. And then when oil was found there, they bolstered them up and basically like built the architecture to extract the oil and then make them rich, but like also to like bend, so it's like, it's this like more archaic, cause it's just out in like the fucking Middle East, it's like this like barren wasteland, but then there's and it's funny cause they have the princes and it's like this very like old feeling society, but that's just incredibly wealthy because the rest of the world uses so much oil. So it's like, where you have this thing. So let's build this. I don't know. There is something interesting there.
Yeah, they seem like a prototype, like just like North Korea is a prototype for the opposite, like utter poverty in deep enslavement. But I want to say where she got, because she obviously checked in. And then she said, "What you say absolutely checks out." And at the same time, she was responding to one of my videos. I don't know what I said. At the same time, I feel relief that Trump won. I feel it, and I still know it's bullshit. That's how truly powerful this shit is. I can absolutely see myself go full on Trumpster, and I have to hold myself back from getting lost in that. It's fucking wild. I almost voted yesterday. I had a very serious debate about it. Ultimately, I realized I was only playing into the fairy tale if I vote and going against my own knowing. There's a reason I stopped voting / playing the politics game, and I had to remember that. But fuck this shit. But fuck, it's a powerful pull.
Yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm getting a call from the president of the HOA. There's probably a maintenance emergency.
Yeah, probably. It's probably a water leak. And then I said, "Yes, girl, the collective field is strong. I'm really proud of you for standing firm in your knowing. That shit matters here. Look around. No one else is doing it. It's nearly impossible to stand in what you know to be true here, and yet somehow you're doing it.
Yeah.
That needs to mean something to you on a real deep level. You need to see yourself clearly in what you've overcome, and that most people won't. Even if people were on the brink of overcoming it, they're being lulled right back to sleep, and you're not. Why aren't you? Why the fuck aren't you? That means something. I'm telling you, it's a BFD.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal.
I think that's going to be the hardest thing for us to teach forever. Is this idea that it's not about, like, when we take stances like this and we're saying things about Trump, it's not that like us not voting or voting was a good or bad thing. That's their game. The codified good, the idea that there is a good thing in general for you to be doing is the core philosophy of darkness. And it's hard to articulate that because that's at the fabric of most of our core identities. It's like, no, but like, I'm a good person because I'm a good brother, sister, mother, father. Like I'm a good person because I'm a good friend. I'm a good person because I'm a good hard worker. I'm a good person because I'm responsible and I pay my bills on time. And it's like, none of those things are good. That good is imaginary. That good is the architecture of darkness. That's the codified good or code, the code of good, like a Bible. That is the codified good. What we're talking about is a different paradigm of existing and of defining what is right and wrong and good and evil or good and bad or good and less good. What we're saying is any codified good isn't good because good is only God. And God is not the codified God of the Bible or of Christianity. God is that deepest, deeper inner wisdom. And when we turn to that deepest inner wisdom, and for us in that moment, voting or not voting is the right thing to do because it'll push our psychology in the direction of who we ultimately are. Right. When we do that, that is good. And it varies from person to person. And there were countless variations of our relationship to voting and to the elections that were good as guided by God. And for anyone to say it is good to go out and vote is the paradigm of darkness, because what it's trying to say is, yeah, don't worry about what God is telling you. Don't worry about that deepest inner wisdom and who you are as a soul. Worry instead about what is optimized for society, because the idea is everything that God tells you to do can be optimized to be better. And we can figure that out. We have the power to figure that out. We're smart enough to figure that out. Together we can figure that out. If we just compile all the data from all of civilization everywhere, there's no way that AI would be worse than what God's telling us to do. It's based on everything that's ever existed. Of course that would be better than what God's telling us to do. How do we know that God's even good? I think that's going to be the hardest thing for us to teach continually, is that we're not talking about a code of good. Right. We're not talking about what is good and what isn't good. And we will never define what is good.
I know people, that's been like a notorious thing that people haven't liked about the second paradigm, or they've tried to make the second paradigm
into
rule
a new
sets,
code.
Which is maddening. It's insane.
And then the whole script flips and they're like, what the fuck?
They're like, well, I thought you said you weren't supposed to do that. Or it's like, what? No, you do what you get. Like, what do you mean? Just because you got something different last week than you're getting this week, like, trust what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make me the enemy, but if you need to, that's fine. Like I said in my Instagram stories, if I need to be the enemy, that's fine, because ideally you're being pushed in the right direction towards a one-on-one personal connection to God. And if making me the enemy gets you there, then good.
That's fine.
I'll be the villain in your story. And you'll be the clown in mine.
Yeah, I liked earlier when you said, like, I know that I'm fucking right. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it, and I guess my version of that's a little different. But it's the same feeling. Like, I think my version of that is like, I don't really care anymore whether I'm right, because I know what I believe is better and more functional than everything I've ever seen ever.
That's good.
It's almost the same.
Yeah. More words.
But it's like, but I imagine in like 200 years, if all goes well, people look back and be like, those fucking idiots, you know? And I would want that. I would want that someone with God to be able to look back and go, man, they've missed the fucking mark. Can't believe they believe that bullshit. Because that means that there was actual growth, and it means it actually got somewhere, you know? But as of right now, nobody seems to acknowledge that God even exists. God is, as we've come to know it, God is that deepest inner wisdom. And I think that's right. I think that's the only thing that is 100%. Right. And I don't know all the specifics of what I'm fucking right and not right about. And I'm starting to not care. And I think that's why it's important for me. Like, your version of that is, I know I'm fucking right. My version of that is like, I can't care if I'm right anymore, because I can go into the depths of nuance and find places where I have uncertainty everywhere because I'm always pushing the edges of this work. I will always find something I'm uncertain about.
Yeah.
But this landscape that we've built, this way of perceiving the world, is truer and more adapted to reality for me in my own experience, at the very fucking least, than anything I've ever come into contact with anywhere.
Agreed.
And now I'm going back after building all this work to all of the greatest philosophers and all modern and fucking historic. And I'm like, these people are fucking stupid. This is so stupid. This doesn't work. This is retarded. And that's a good fucking feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's validating that, like, we're fucking onto something. We're so onto something. This is right. The codified good is darkness. And at some point we're going to get to a battle between the best good that darkness can produce and God. And we better know the difference. Because if we don't, we're going to live inside of their dark utopia.
That's a nice way to put it. I was going to say, because if you don't, you're fucked. No,
Same.
See ya, FEMA.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
That's
I got to
our
go
time.
fix a maintenance emergency, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's our time, folks. That's our time.
That's our time.